I took my kids to the dentist yesterday, and what should have just been a routine cleaning, super easy in and out, turned into this like big ordeal because two of my kids needed extra work and they happened to have an opening, and so I took it so that way we didn't have to make a trip back there. And so as my son is laying down in the chair, his was only going to take about 5 minutes. He decides to start screaming at the top of his lungs. This loud scream. Like, I couldn't get him to stop. I couldn't get him to calm down. He didn't even have to get his mouth numbed. I think he was just really scared. And in the moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, like all this stuff going through my head, feeling overwhelmed. Like, do I just say, okay, no, we're not going to do it anymore, knowing that he needs it done? Or do I just spank him, like, which I didn't. I just wanted him to calm down. And it took 3 of us to hold him down so he could get this 5-minute procedure. And he was screaming at the top of his lungs the whole time. And I was left like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, feeling like a bad mom, but also like embarrassed at the same time that my kid was acting this way and I had no control over it. Not that I was trying to control him. It just felt like a disaster. And so we get home and I'm like praying, like, God, like, where were you in this? Like, what do I do? Did I like scare him? Like, did I not protect him? Should have I protected him and said, no, we're not going to do this? And after getting home and like having a quiet atmosphere and calm and like sitting with the Lord, I realized that no, God was there with us, and I wanted to walk my son through that. So he's with us. He never leaves us. His word says he's actually closer than the air we breathe. And so I sat my son down and I said, how are you feeling at the dentist? I said, were you worried? Were you scared? Were you angry? Like, why were you screaming? And so we walked him through his emotions in that moment. And then I reminded him that God was with him. And so we asked Jesus to show him where he was with him at the dentist office. And my son smiles and he says, he was standing right next to me. And I said, he was? What was he saying? And he was telling my son, you can do this. And so I share this because it totally changed the situation. Like, it took away all my fears and concerns about being a bad mom or did I do something wrong. And it also brought my son peace and just gave him a new perspective of the situation. He wasn't afraid anymore. Like, he knew it didn't hurt. He just was overwhelmed in the moment and didn't know how to respond. And Jesus was with me. I stayed calm in the moment. I just kept holding my son's hand and saying, you can do this, it's gonna be okay. And so it was just really cool how Jesus showed him where he was and where he helped me stay calm in the moment and not feel like, not overreact. And I feel like there's a lot of us who go through overwhelming situations and we feel like we're alone and we're like, don't know where God is at, and we don't even think to ask God where he's at in the moment because we're so overwhelmed. And I'm sharing this because I want to encourage everyone to think of your last overwhelming situation, or maybe you're in one right now, and ask Jesus to reveal to you where he was at in the moment and get a new perspective. And as always, if you're listening to this and you're in an overwhelming situation right now and you need someone to talk to, please reach out to us at SafeTime.live.